It's been a while since I've done one verse interpreted, and I want to jump on a couple of really weird ones, the ones that really sound like anti-wife, anti-woman. I want to clear up some of the stuff that is ridiculously looked at as at face value or a teaching that you're supposed to abide by. That hurts people. This is not their culture anymore. Now, what I have discovered through just mental experimentation is that all of these verses play out in the psyche. That they're made to go two directions. From where the verse is written, if you're not aware, you take it and you live that verse in the physical world. If you're aware, you take that verse, you bring it inside, strip off the analogs, and it's a healing path to go inward that is always there, being carried inside the religion or myth, whatever the case may be. In this case, religion. Now, the analogs I want to look at in these variety of verses, male, female, boy, these all play out inside. The consciousness is going to be the male, and the subconscious or the soul is going to be the female. And the reason that is, there's a hierarchy of how things work. When the conscious mind experiences life and decides the quality of that experience, remembers it, stores it away, becomes that, we are creating at that time who and what we're going to be. And those are called offspring. So the conscious, the subconscious, male, female, there's a hierarchy there. And that hierarchy comes from their culture. The man was in charge of the woman. I am not only not an advocate for that, but I am an advocate against that. What we have to do here is understand that the male is every one of us in our consciousness. The female is every one of us in our soul, our subconscious. The offspring are the things that we hold inside of us that might act out. I'm going to jump first to a verse in Mark. Now, if you've been following along, you're going to get this right away. And if not, well, I have a lot of verses in previous videos where I'm interpreting Jesus, and that might be a good place to go if this sounds too Greek. This has to do with the betrayal and the arrest of Jesus, but there's a couple of verses in here. 51, a certain young man was following him, wearing nothing but a linen cloth. They caught hold of him, but he left the linen cloth and ran off naked. That's it. Strange. Why would that be there? What's a young man? Thinly clad. This is a part of us at one point in time that is starting to cover our soul, but it's not very covered yet. And running off naked is a good thing. In the spiritual world, we seek nakedness, emptiness, poor of spirit. All of those are analogs for having this, everything we're attached to, everything we cling to, cleared out. Clothing ourselves is analogous to hiding our fears. I got molested. I'm never telling anybody that. I just put a garment on. And that shame and that hurt is going to be there. My nakedness is not available. I've covered myself. And the thing to do is to uncover myself, not in the physical world. You read this in the physical world and go, what the heck? You read it in the spiritual world and go, that's what they're doing. Okay, got it. Let's move on to some fun stuff in Proverbs. This is verse 15 and 16. A continual dripping on a rainy day and a contentious wife are alike. To restrain her is to restrain the wind, or to grasp oil in the right hand. Oh, yeah, how crazy does that sound? Shut up, woman. Whew. This is rough stuff. It needs to be interpreted. The wife is what is acting out of us. This is our life that has become crazy and our mind is not quiet. And the drip, 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 drip is a cycle. It continually happens and you can't get it in control. Trying to control it is like trying to control the wind. You can't do it. To restrain her is to restrain the wind or to grasp oil in the right hand. Yeah, you can't do it. This is telling us that when we're acting out, there's nothing you can do to stop it. Okay, let's move on to another one. Again from Proverbs 21:19. It is better to live in a desert land than with a contentious and fretful wife. Okay, there's a couple things in here. Living in a desert land. Who goes to the desert? The Israelites went to the desert for 40 years. Jesus went there for 40 days. The desert represents what? There's nothing there. It's empty. The desert is what we want. We want a barren land up here, not one that's full of all kinds of things. And I'm not talking about joy, love, peace, all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about hurt, all the things that get in the way of the joy, the love, and the peace, the kingdom of heaven within. We want to get rid of that stuff. The desert represents a place where that is, all the things that are around are not there. The desert, you look around, what's there? It's a quiet, empty place. Again, it plays out up here. We want a quiet, empty mind. Then of 21:9, it is better to live in a corner of the housetop than in a house shared with a contentious wife. See the same thing? The house, the house is us. These are analogs for us. Now I am living inside of a house. This is my mind inside of my house, and we've got something in there that is contentious, that's constantly acting out. That's the mind that won't stop, that can't feel peace. That's it. The contentious wife is that. How about something from Leviticus, my favorite place where evil emerges if you don't figure this out? You shall eat the flesh of your sons, and you shall eat the flesh of your daughters. Cannibalism? We can't play it out there. Offspring, inside, daughters, sons, these are the products of what we have accumulated that we need to get rid of. All of these hint to that same thing over and over again through the most twisted analogs that you can think of from all over the place, from all different cultures. When they're sharing flood stories, it's not real. The flood is an analog for clearing out yourself, emptying out yourself. Everything became raucous in here. It's crazy. How do I get rid of all those voices? The world has become populated with people who don't pay attention. Your life is not okay. A flood represents cleaning that out. Washing the inside of your cup represents cleaning that out. Having poor in spirit represents having that cleaned out. Removing the mote from your eye represents cleaning that out. We've got stuff in Deuteronomy that is very twisted up too. This is crazy stuff. It can't even make sense. Honestly, I don't know how people read this today and think that this is just historical. That's not thinking at all. We go into laws concerning sexual relations, and in 13 here it starts off, suppose a man marries a woman, but after going into her, he dislikes her and makes up charges against her, slandering her and saying, I married this woman, but when I lay with her, I did not find evidence of her virginity. And then there's a couple of options down here, though it says, if, however, this charge is true, okay, so she's not a virgin, that evidence of the young woman's virginity was not found, then they shall bring the young woman out to the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her town shall stone her to death, because she committed a disgraceful act in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. Draconian. That's what they were doing back then, and that's why the analog is there. The only reason they would use that as an analog, why? It had to make sense to them. So what are they doing? Yeah, we still see that emerging sometimes. I'm sure they try to keep it hidden, but women still get stoned for various reasons that are not right. I'm going to read something from carm.org, Bible Difficulties. There's somebody has written a description in here. A theist has interpreted this verse. And it says, in the culture of the time, it was the father who was charged with the covering, care, and well-being of his daughter. Her sexual purity was representative of the father's ability to raise her according to the laws of God. Therefore, in that culture, a man's reputation as well as the family's reputation in the community could be adversely affected by the fornication of his daughter. If his daughter had been promised to a man to be married to, and a dowry had been paid, there was every expectation from the bridegroom that she would be a virgin. If the contrary was discovered, So, you know what? This is apologetics. It didn't say anything about all that. If this, if that, if this, if that. That is not, this is not an interpretation. This is trying to make up excuses as to why that must have happened historically. It is not an interpretation. It is trying to explain why they literally did this. And I'm sure that they probably did literally do this, but they're missing the teaching by doing that. All they're doing is living the analog. They're carrying the ark. They're not looking inside. So let's spend a little time here and see if we can make it something that's usable and that's interactive, something that we can actually apply to our lives. The idea of the conscious and the subconscious being together without conflict is represented in the idea of the conscious, or the male and the female, having no offspring, combined in the bridal chamber. That is the mind, both parts of our mind at peace inside, we're combined. If the female portion of us has got stuff in it, it's not a virgin, we want to wipe that out. But where did this come from? It came from the father, her father, which is what represents you in your earlier self, your previous self. You've got issues that were put in there from, I did something one time. I regret that. I really do. I've never done it again. But I got to take care of it. It's still haunting me. I still have to take care of that. I have to go kill it on my father's doorstep. But that is not... When you play it in the psyche, where's your father's doorstep? Where's the evil female? So the father in this case, her father is, again, it's you before you decided to change. It is your previous self. You did something at one point and gave birth to something that is not okay. And then as you try to leave on in life, that's going to get passed along. It needs to be resolved. It needs to be dealt with. It's that simple. Yeah, we have to fix these. We can't read them as if it is about a man and a woman. It is about a conscious and a soul. A mind and a soul. They've hidden it in here and they've nested it in such a way that you have to work at extracting it. Consider something. How much time we spend every day connected, media, doing something, watching, viewing, phones, something. We're always connected, doing stuff. I'm making videos, looking at videos, doing things like that. Imagine 2,000 years ago, and that's gone. That's it. There was no such thing. It did not exist. What would you do with your mind? More than what we're doing with religion today, that's for sure. All right, I hope this was helpful. Literalists, don't eat your children or stone your wives. And everyone else, love one another. I'll see you in the next video.